There's 100. There's 100.
to me. I'm just hoping I don't repeat history. Boy, I'm trying to meet your mama on a Sunday. The nigga I love on a Monday. Never need no one else, babe. 'Cause I'll be switching in positions for you. Cooking in the kitchen and I'm in the bedroom. I don't need a lift, they say I'm jumping through hoops. All my love infinite, nothing I wouldn't do, that I won't do. Switching for you, perfect, perfect. You're too good to be true. But I get tired of running. Fuck it, now I'm running with you. With you. So boy, I'm trying to meet your mama on a Sunday. The nigga I love on a Monday. Never need no one else, babe. 'Cause I'll be switching in positions for you. Kitchen and I'm in the bedroom. I don't need a lift, they say I'm jumping through hoops. All my love infinite, nothing I wouldn't do, that I won't do. Switching for you. Cooking in the kitchen and I'm in the bedroom. I don't need a lift, they say I'm jumping through hoops. All my love infinite, nothing I wouldn't do, that I won't do. Searching for you. There's some shit that I usually don't do, but for you I kinda wanna do. 'Cause you're down for me and I'm down to, yeah, I'm down to. Switching my positions for you. There's some shit that I usually don't do, but for you I kinda wanna do. 'Cause you're down for me and I'm down to. Switching my positions for you. Kitchen and I'm in the bedroom. I don't need a lift, they say I'm jumping through hoops. All my love infinite, nothing I wouldn't do, that I won't do. Switching for you. Cooking in the kitchen and I'm in the bedroom. I don't need a lift, they say I'm jumping through hoops. All my love infinite, nothing I wouldn't do, that I won't do. Switching for you. Yeah.
You know who it is, coming round again. You want a dose of this? Right now it's I'm a goddess with a plate. 소리쳐보는 인어 잊지 못하게 loud, 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 loud.
Большие
頂上の線の日に急に開口制約も採点も知らないなら光沢の前にせ全競争ロードヒット感じよって視線躊躇なんて恐怖なんて振り砕く大正解の夢にすがるよ朝などこの星に置き換わって朝を生きて迎えるため絶望などここに置いてるか人よ誇れがつきこの俺たちの意志を今に打ち打ちだけ通る悲しみ悲しみだけでこの光は神が今この祈れその命を
You up your easy. 「
Forget about your responsibilities. There's a new laser update. I spoke about it with Peppy, who's in the OS office today with Tom94.
I can show Tom in the office. Do you mind being video?
And in this update, Argon was added for Tycho, meaning the Argon skin is finally implemented for all modes.
I thought Tycho was actually going to be the easiest because it's got the fewest elements, but we implemented Tycho in a very convoluted way. Like every other rule set, we define the size of the playfield, so in OS it's 512 by 384 pixels, and every element is based off that size, but in Tycho it's more like the playfield is 1 high and all the elements are fractional components of 1. It works okay most of the time, but sometimes not.
So adding a simple skin involved rewriting how Tycho worked in Laser. This really just shows that there's more going on behind the scenes with each update than you might expect.
The swell is still work in progress. It turns out that Tycho swells, aka spinners, were not actually skinnable in Laser until now. So yeah, I've been like figuring out whether I should actually implement skinning support for like legacy skins as well, since it's not there. But that's about it. If you have a better idea for a name for Tycho spinners, then let me know.
I'll assume that's directed at anyone listening.
Anyone
I don't
listening.
have any ideas. So Argon exists for all rule sets, but it's nowhere near done. What comes next? Peppy's immediate plan is to review playability across all modes, with extra focus on Mania, then add object customization in the skin editor, and eventually make changes to the HUD once Flight finalizes the design. Look forward to all that in the coming weeks. Dark combo colors. They're annoying, and with this new setting, you don't need to worry about them.
Yeah, so this is one that Smoogie came up with to basically normalize colors into a certain range. It's just a slider where 0% is no adjustment and 100% is a lot of adjustment. And yeah, so if you choose 100%, it's going to bring all combo colors to a rough mid-ground, whereas if you set it to 0, you'll get pure blacks and pure whites. The default is around 20 to 30%, I can't remember which of the two, but on most beat maps I've tested which actually have bright combo colors, it's not that noticeable. It's small enough of a change that I was happy to have it as the default.
A lot of you seem to like the freeze frame mod from last update, so you'll be happy to know that this bug, where slider ticks appeared way too early, is now fixed. And also, Argon Spinner now has these bars. There's nothing to really say about it, but it looks cool. Let's shift gears towards the unbiased and objectively best part of OS, mapping. Or more specifically the editor, where these two options were added to the view menu. In Stable, background dim in the editor only affected testing, but in Laser it applies to the editor background too. And this show hit markers thing is essentially the opposite of Stable's hit animations toggle, allowing you to view maps exactly how they'd look in gameplay. This perfect curve option is one of the coolest additions to the Laser editor. It makes complex sliders significantly easier to design, but Stable doesn't support this curve type. That sucks, but it won't suck for long.
Yeah, Ollie Bombi implemented a set of functions for his own tools, which allows converting the multi-segment laser sliders back into a format that Stable can understand. So the plan going forward is probably to have two versions of the OSU file, one for Stable to read from and one for Laser to read from. That's not done yet, so while this change is quite cool and important, it's not going to be visible in the game just yet.
Once it is done though, you'll be able to map with all of Laser's editor features while still being compatible and submittable through Stable. This is a big thing for mapping and will only be more valuable as Laser's editor continues to improve. And one last thing in the editor, skimming the timeline won't cause you to go deaf anymore. Thanks, Peppy. As with every Laser update, there's a ton of miscellaneous small changes, so I'm just going to list a few of the most interesting ones. First, tablet area is built into Laser. This isn't new, but these numbers in the aspect ratio were slightly incorrect, and that's fixed. Laser sends chat messages in real time now, as opposed to the massive delay that you're probably familiar with from Stable. If your username is Crystal, you might also appreciate that relevant mods stay enabled when switching between game modes. Transitions are being polished too, like in Song Select, and in the main menu. Necodex also added a sound for clicking disabled things. And to match all these sound effects, hover visuals have a more snappy, sharp feel. Okay, you've made it this far. You've proven that you're dedicated to Laser updates. So let's get technical.
Tom94 has been here in Japan, and that has triggered a lot of discussions about performance-related concerns, and he's also been helping out in the background to make some of these efforts come to fruition.
So we're going to walk through this performance section. Peppy explained each of the changes to me in basic terms, and even those basic terms were too convoluted for this video, leading to an alternative format.
So I say like 1,000 words and you summarize it to 3 words? That sounds good.
The first change here sends fewer reports to your GPU's garbage collector, making the game just stutter less. In this one, the game is supposed to pause CPU usage every millisecond, but this thing called thread sleep wasn't doing that perfectly, causing some repeat frames. Essentially, more blue chunks here means more unique frames. This third change reduces the amount of times Laser interacts with the GPU, which will have more impact as Laser is further optimized. Change number 4 optimizes the hit error meter through pooling, which we've discussed before, and I'll let Peppy have the honor of explaining this last one. Even if you don't play on Laser yet, this could impact you.
I don't even know how to say this in a way that's not technical. Basically, an application can run a command which says that other apps on the PC can jump in and do their thing if they're waiting for CPU time. And until now, between every game frame, we've told the OS that it can let other applications run. This change removes that. Especially in cases where a user has a lot of other applications running on their PC, this could be beneficial. And if it is, then we may actually retroactively apply it to stable.
So okay, millisecond differences might not seem like much, but when paired with other performance improvements in literally every release, it really can have an impact. Laser is constantly upping performance for dirty FPS hogs like you, and Tom here is helping make that happen even faster than before.
I mean, Tom's still here and we're still going through performance issues. A lot of people keep bringing up performance concerns with Laser, and yeah, I will say that we're not done. We have a lot in the pipeline, like there's 3 or 4 ongoing efforts. I think we may see like huge improvements in the coming weeks.
And that's about it for this update. There's more new stuff in Laser that couldn't fit in this video, so look through the rest of the changelog if you really want to know everything. Which you definitely do want to do. I need to sleep. Good night. Yeah, that looks about right. I spoke with Peppy, the lead developer of OS.
Let's get started. Hello.
And we talked about everything new in this Laser update, starting with blobs.
We did the blobs, yes. I asked quite a few people which they preferred of the old and the new Argon design, and most people seem to actually like the blobs more than I expected, so we went with the blobs. It's an initial pass as usual. Give us your raw feedback, but also make sure you play with it before giving feedback, please.
Argon for Catch is finally here, though this one's a bit rougher than the last 2 modes. Flight is still working on the design, and there's already some problems that Peppy is making considerations for.
One is the catcher plate doesn't have enough verticality, if that's even a word, so it's a bit hard to follow where the plate is. We currently have an artist working on a new Yuzu sprite to go beneath the plate, and Flight has also done a version of the catcher which doesn't have a Yuzu for people that don't want a character there. Hyperdash is the next one. Hyperdash is a bit hard to see because it's a red glow. It's kind of overlapping to an extent, like it's not defined enough with red combos. Flight is working on a Hyperdash visual. From what I've seen, it looks pretty evil.
And the last major issue involves basic visibility.
If you're playing without background dim or on a very bright background, you actually can't see hit objects, because if the background is already white, they would just blend with it completely. It's on our radar and we'll figure out what to do with that into the future.
As mentioned earlier, this is more or less a rough draft for Argon and Catch. It'll improve over the coming weeks, but it's still worth testing out so you can give feedback and make those improvements happen a bit sooner. This might be the most interesting reading-focused mod in OS. It loads every object in a combo, like a freeze frame, so in some cases it doesn't even feel like a difficult mod, then other times, yeah, you get the point. Originally, the mod changed approach rate for every circle, which felt awkward at times, but this current way of loading all approach circles and just having them slowly zoom in feels more natural. Meanwhile, in Song Select, here's something you'll probably never notice. When searching for something like, say, Glass Beach, it'll automatically select the closest map. Before, it would select any of these options at random, though that was already better than stable selecting literally nothing. And completely unrelated, if you ever wanted gameplay behind your phone camera, this now exists. A lot of people have complained about this. The rest of this update is focused on one thing: improving the editor. As far as gameplay goes, Laser and Stable are extremely similar, but the editors are planned to diverge much more, and some of today's changes show that. For example, how distance snap is no longer connected to sliders. Sliders would look with the same distance snap. And here's how the same setup looks in Laser.
And because mapping's changed so much over the years, like I don't know how much people are tying slider velocity to distance snap. I think most mappers are just adjusting it anyway from the default
You may have also noticed that Distance Snap looks absolutely insane in Laser. These colors match timeline ticks, so you can visualize and place objects based on rhythm. It takes some getting used to, but for low difficulties, I found it legitimately cool.
Yeah, this is also one which I implemented slightly different from Stable again. So in Stable, when you select an object, it showed the current and the previous distance snap. In Laser, it actually shows at the current point in time what the distance snap is. We'll see what the feedback is from mappers, and if they want the previous one back as well, we can potentially add that.
This button here was added too, letting mappers set distance snap based on spacing between these two objects. So if I wanted equally spaced jumps, I would just do this. I love this button. Speaking of buttons, you can now press Shift to quickly enable Grid Snap or Alt to enable Distance Snap. This update allows you to enable both too, which Peppy has some thoughts on.
I thought this was pretty stupid, but people have said they want it, so added it back.
The clone option was also added in this update, but with slightly different functionality from Stable. I honestly don't think most people even knew this existed, but it's here again anyway. What's more useful is this new shortcut to change a beat snap divisor, Shift plus any number. And last thing in the editor here, let's talk about Select All. Mappers do this more often than you'd think, so Peppy has been working on making this better through small changes like reducing the size of the spinner selection and making bulk selections not show slider anchors.
Part of the work I did in this last week was allowing blueprints to change their visual state depending on how many total objects are selected, so we can potentially, hide the slider paths when there's over 10 objects or something to improve performance, and also just to reduce visual clutter depending on what mappers are interested in most. So I will say that the performance of selecting all, even though I've made a heap of changes in this release for it, it's still bad. For the blueprints to display correctly, they kind of need to read the information from the gameplay state. So because all objects in gameplay are pooled, the ones which are like in the future are not actually existing yet. So to make the select all functionality in the editor work correctly, we need to actually create every object in the map at the point of hitting select all. And that is what adds the most overhead. To fix that, it's going to require a bit of a change of thinking on how the editor works.
Yeah, this is a pretty complicated issue, so it may be a while before we actually see ideal editor performance. But it's still being worked on, just like 1,000 other things in Laser. Anyway, that's about all for now. Read the full changelog for the smaller updates that couldn't fit in this video, and I'll leave you with some advice from the man himself.
Just a word of caution, do not try doing a select all on the, what's the map called? With Temptation, is it?
The Unforgiving, yeah.
Yeah, don't try it on that.
Ever wonder what it's like to be a game developer? Peppy, the lead developer of OS, has your answer.
Had like a midnight coffee, and now it's 3 a.m.
Peppy also walked me through the newest Laser update, which should have featured the Argon skin for Catch, like how the last 2 updates did for Mania and OS, but things happened.
I started on it and I was just mentioning it to Flight, and he's like, oh, I've done a completely new design of that. I'm like, what? I look at the document, it's completely changed since the 2 days ago when I looked at it. I'm like, oh, fucking hell.
So look forward to that in the next update. For now, enjoy the first ever Tiny Changes edition of Laser Updates, featuring 30 different changes from this release. Let's get started.
We're going to keep adding more interesting UI components like the longest combo counter. They're obviously going to be things that you add yourself. They're not going to be in the default UI, so you will need to go into the skin editor to add that to your skin.
Was added for Mania last week, but apparently one of the column colors was duplicated. If you play 7K, you'll see this purple was axed and green was slotted in. If you click circles, Argon is updated for you too. Specifically these great or miss indicators, which were pretty hard to see before.
When the Argon hit explosion happens, there's a lot of lighting going on, and until this change, the judgments were hidden behind that lighting, and this change just brings them to the front.
I have a feeling people aren't going to like this change. They kind of liked having the thing invisible.
Yeah, well, making it invisible again will come later on, actually forcing it to be invisible.
Argon in the editor is working a bit better now too. Before now, new combos sometimes led to this, which does look kinda cool but is super unintended. Alongside Argon, Peppy's big focus recently has been improving UI and UX for the editor. Most of those changes are still in the development pipeline, but a few changes made it in this update, like the slider ball facing the wrong direction when rewinding, some words being cut off here and over here, and a better design for toolboxes.
And that change actually, yeah, because the editor shares UI logic with the player loading screen, that also made the player loading screen's settings to the right hand side look a lot nicer.
This person, whose name I can't pronounce, also improved the editor, first by ensuring no objects are skipped when selecting in the timeline, then by doing the same for Catch and Mania's playfields. Tycho was excluded for some reason, sorry Tycho. And lastly, by making playfield visibility in the Catch editor more flexible.
It's a bit of a weird one to use because you have to rebind the scroll speed increase and decrease bindings, since currently they conflict with the editor modes switching. But if you do that, you can actually change the height of the Catch editor to see more or less of the playfield, which is kind of cool.
And one more tiny editor update. Alabombi fixed slider to stream conversion that would sometimes do this. There's only one area of Laser that's more important than the editor to me, and that's gameplay. No, of course not. It's smoke. With the addition of smoke last update, a few issues were discovered. When Relax mod was enabled, you couldn't use smoke. So now you can. When no scope was enabled, however, you could use smoke, which might as well have been cheating since the mod hides your cursor. So no more smoke there. Smoke also had a length limit, which is now completely removed, and smoke no longer weirdly shakes when paused. It's kind of creepy. Okay, actual gameplay changes now. Just like Stable, Flashlight during breaks now expands instead of staying the same size. Legacy skins that have a tinted slider ball actually work now, and objects fade out just like Stable. This is a really tiny change. Last update we talked about how Laser can feel different from Stable because of tiny differences, and this is just another one of those. In Tycho, bar lines now generate correctly. This applies to maps that have a lot of timing points closely together, and any maps that use this feature to remove bar lines. Also, apparently drum rolls just looked like this sometimes. It's ridiculous.
That one would happen if there is a timing point halfway through a drum roll. Don't know how that was not reported until now.
Catch has this special combo counter floating above the player in classic skins, which according to Peppy was programmed in some special way. Unintentionally, this means it also wasn't part of the HUD, so you couldn't hide your combo till this change. Oh, and weirdly enough, you could interact with HUD elements while they were hidden too. That was unintended, and now it's gone. Lastly, in Mania, the PP counter no longer does this when rewinding, and there's a hit sound for hold notes. Speaking of sounds, Necodex also added samples for the sidebar. Amazing.
I'm sure you've seen we're going to have an overflow, and like it's the end of OS.
OS is not dead, and the new score infrastructure created in response to this Doomsday event is nearly ready. So yeah, you can submit new scores, no surprise there, but this new system also moves us closer to the day that Laser merges with Stable.
It means that At some point in the future, we can just flick a switch and have laser and classic scores both existing in the same leaderboard. What we're doing as a preliminary step is moving them all to the same storage engine and then filtering them, but we could just remove that filter and show both, which will be one of the final steps once we figure out balance and whatnot.
So overall, the future of scoring is good. But we're stuck in the present. For now, we're still dealing with absolute nonsense like add support for weird storyboards which have backwards events.
Yeah, so apparently some storyboarders actually made backwards transforms, as in the start time is later than the end time, and Stable just works with that. Now Laser does too.
Score V2. This is the standard scoring algorithm for tournaments. It caps at 1 million points and values accuracy more than classic scoring. Laser also has a score system that caps at 1 million points, but it's not quite the same as Score V2. To show exactly how the score systems compare, Peppy set up graphs.
It's hard to explain this in words, and that's why I made this test scene, so you can align Laser Classic scoring, Laser Standardized scoring, and Score V1, Score V2. Those last two haven't really been possible to visualize in Laser until now, so I actually re-implemented those algorithms, and now you can just add some misses or 100s, and see how that affects progress of the score over time, and also the maximum score.
So this is in the test portion of Laser, which can be run by doing this in the project directory and searching for scoring. Peppy may also release a standalone version of this for more accessibility, but that would come later. Alright, we're on to the last change now. This one is practically the embodiment of this tiny changes edition of Laser updates, because it really is tiny. It's just a nicer screen transition, but at the same time, I think it also shows just how much progress Laser is making.
That's a kind of subtle one, but it's like my commitment to making everything feel as superfluous as possible in terms of transitions between screens, and we're definitely not there yet. Like, I've got so much polish work I want to do on Laser, but I'm finally getting to the point where I can spend some time, or where I feel like I can spend some time on polish.
Laser has honestly progressed a lot. I remember back when Laser was first published, I checked its editor every few weeks just to track development, and half a decade later, it's received so many big changes. Like, Laser as a whole has improved to a point where big changes almost aren't necessary. Tiny changes, like what we've talked about today, will eventually be all the polish it needs before taking over Stable. Laser isn't there yet though. Big changes are still on the way, but at least we're getting close. And that's cool. If you want to know exactly how close, maybe you should read the full changelog for everything I couldn't fit in this video. Thanks for keeping up with Laser's progress so far. We'll see you again soon. Also, next update's going to be shorter. This was way too long. That right there. Do you know what that means? That means I talked to Peppy, the lead developer of OS,
Hey?
to discuss what's new in this Laser update, including what may be
Oh my god. That's fucking crazy. Only time I've ever hit that.
Functions you can set are the dynamic keystrokes and toggle keys. Dynamic keystroke allows you to set 4 different outputs at 4 different key positions on one key. Basically, what Basically, what this means is that on one key, it can output something when you press it 0.1 mm down, and then it output something else when you press it completely down, and then output another thing as you are about to release it, and then output another thing when you completely release it. How it looks
Wait, couldn't you in theory set it so like when you first press it, it's Z, when you completely press it, it's X, and then have another key do the exact same thing, except backwards. So when you press one key, the other key, it's first X, and then when you press it all the way down, it's Z. Wouldn't that be like quadruple tapping? Try it. I feel like I'm gonna get banned. Start of key press, key fully pressed, key. Wait. Oh, key full. Oh. That should do it.
Peppy PLS, anger.
No. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Guys, guys, they put fucking aimbot in a keyboard. Surely this will get people banned though. Like actually, I don't know how to use this, but this kind of seems like something that would get you banned. When you press one key, the other key, it's first X, and then when you press it all the way down, it's Z. Wouldn't that be like quadruple tapping? Try it. I feel like I'm gonna.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Vivek. Today, I'm going to be performing a free-to-play video game called Osu.
Oh my.
So, for basic understanding, because I think a lot of you will not understand what I'm doing. For example, does everyone here know what the mobile game Banner Tiles is? Can I see some hands? Banner Tiles? Okay. So it's something like that. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
My head tired. No way. No way.
how to actually improve at Catch the Beat. According to YouTube, I only found one video of how to improve at Catch the Beat. So let's take a look at it.
Graphics, frame limiter, you either want to use unlimited or you want to have a custom frame limiter on. Because VSync just sucks, to be honest. You drop a lot of frames. The best option is custom, like a very high custom frame rate, or just unlimited. I just use that amount.
I recommend unlimited because it gives you more frames and it reduces latency in the game.
Just in case. Resolution, I just have it at this resolution for recording purposes, but you could use native if you want to, but it's usually better to use something smaller.
To be honest, the resolution thing doesn't really matter unless you don't want invisible barriers to distract you or something with playing Catch the Beat. So yeah, I'll show you guys an example of this basically.
Full screen mode if you have a low-end PC as well, because it lags less. Detail settings, I like to have all this off because it's very distracting, and if like you like to rank up and stuff and you like to play seriously, then I'd recommend turning all of this off. It's just a lot of distraction, and if you have a low-end PC, it's just gonna be non-stop lag, so yeah, just turn all these off.
As a Catch the Beat player, I don't find these stuff distracting. He is like maybe correct in a way that it does help with lag and stuff like that. So if you have like a slow PC, it really improves your FPS.
Okay, background dim. I've seen a lot of people keep this like at 0 or just put it up a little bit, but I'd really recommend putting it up to 90 or 95.
Listen, if you have your background dim at 0%, there's something wrong with you. You're either a god or just plain retarded.
Okay, for starting off with skin, I have my own skin. Well, I didn't actually make it, but it's just like a combination from different skins. And I'll leave it down in the description so you can download it if you see you like it. And for settings on skins, I really recommend turning this on. That way you don't use the skins that the Beatmaster derived you.
And find a really slow.
And sensitivity and the rest doesn't really matter.
I kind of agree with the skin part. I mean, having a really good skin is like really great for improving, honestly. So yeah, find a really good skin, and then if you can read it, then it's great.
Just for one song. Let's put this. Default for Catch the Beat, you would have this, correct? And I used this for a very long time, but I noticed it was starting to be very uncomfortable since I used to use my ring finger and my index finger. And my friend told me that it would be a lot easier if I just switch it to somewhere else. So what I did was switch it to the comma and the period. The reason behind that was because they're small, they're very close together, and I gotta use my middle finger and index finger for them, and it's the greater than and less than signs, which is pointing left and right. So it's just a lot easier to move around with, since, for example, if you use a mouse and you're right-handed, you use your middle finger and index finger a lot, right? It's just a lot more comfortable to use them quickly for at high-level play. And dash, I just leave it the same for left shift. Since I'm used to it, you could change it to Z or X or whatever key binding you want. And the move left and right as well to whatever you want. Just make sure it stays comfortable for you, but I just recommend these settings.
First of all, key blinding doesn't really... Fuck, I don't even know if I said that right. So first of all, key blindings really don't matter as much because really if you're comfortable playing with certain keys, just play with that certain keys. Like for dashing, I use my thumb, alright? And pretty sure some people don't like me doing that, but I mean I still use it because it's the best way I could play.
So
Don't like me doing that, but I mean I still use it because it's the best way I could play.
So what I really recommend for you, all you new players out there, is do not play converted maps. What I mean by converted is these that have nothing, like just the stars and stuff on there, are for standard Osu. And by Catch the Beat, you should be playing Catch the Beat songs, which are these, the ones that have the fruit on them. They're just easier to follow, it makes it easier to learn, and they're made especially for Catch the Beat, not like the converted songs. The converted songs have really weird patterns, and it's really hard to follow. So for learning purposes, I really recommend learning with the Catch the Beat. And a tip for that, if you don't know if you have any Catch the Beat, just beat maps, I mean.
You are built. You are built. ねえねえ君、そこのギャンカは調子いい。ナンパじゃないよ、ナンパでナンパじゃないよ。グフフ。はい、行かないで行かないで、ごめんなさい。はい、本当に申し訳ないと思っています。反省文に書きます。っておーい、今暇ワンちゃん、お姉さんとお茶でもしようよ。ダメ？なんで？この後織田信長の城燃やしに行く。マジか、それが下克上ってことね。じゃあこの気持ちを伝えるために歌うね。今夜もぶち上げこのパーティー、いつでもかますぜベースライン。君の瞳がターゲット、初めて超絶テンこのパーティー、バイブス高めるベースライン。勢いだけで風よい、まず倒せその手の中の女性ない平常心、辛くないよ、失敗を過ぎない、怖くないよ。一緒に踊らない？踊るのが無理ならあれ聞いちゃおうかな。ベースラインやってる？ラインラインライン、はいはいはいはい、ラインラインライン、ラインラインライン、はいはいはいはい、もう少しで運動、問題ない気にしない、やりがち捕まえたい、今すぐ本体はみたい、今夜はこの朝まで足りない、足りなくなくなくない、調子に乗ったら路上で爆睡声を出したい、車の運搬積んでいたい、パイピが男子をベースライン、ぶつけたからもうえばいい直線、上手なレースにやばいベースラインパーティーの途中ですが、ここで臨時ニュースをお伝えします。今日昼頃、割とキモく女性にナンパをした上、路上で爆睡をしたとして、道の上で寝たり女の子に声をかけたりしたらいけないんだよ罪の容疑で、自称有料物件宮田七海容疑者が逮捕されました。容疑者はキモかったのは認めるけど、私だって可愛い女の子とおしゃべりしたい、したいしたいしたいしたい、やだやだやだやだ、ダバダジダバダジダバダジダバダ。ニュースをお伝えしました。ひどい目にあった。反省文もたくさん書かされたし、女の子からパンチもされた。嫌われないでアプローチ、このままダッシュし超絶テンだけこのパーティー、バイブス高めるベースライン、勢いだけで勝ちやるい、まずは倒せその手の中の女子ライン、また見つけちゃったよ。あーごめんなさい、パンチやめてください。おとなしくします、ごめんなさい。 暗い世界だって二って譲れない日々よ栄養になってまた汚し合う追求感な そんな目に私はどう映るのとてもきらびやかで
быстрее скорости звука. Я чувствую твою руку, сука. Мы летим на Сузуки быстрее скорости звука. Я чувствую твою руку, сука. Я умею делать бабки не барыжа травкой, как в 16. Моя мама с батей и брат во мною давно гордятся. Мне не надо представляться, когда я вхожу, делать вид, что я вам рад и всеми вами дрожу. Эй, я мусор, как тебе туса? Я просто прививаю таким, как ты, чувство вкуса. Эй, я мусор, как тебе туса? Я просто прививаю таким, как ты, чувство вкуса. Эй, 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 как тебе туса? Я просто прививаю таким, как ты, чувство вкуса. Эй, 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 как тебе туса? Я просто прививаю таким, как ты, чувство вкуса. Ненавижу мудаков, что снимают из-под тяжка в Кентукки Фрайд Чикен. Журналисты со своими вопросами нахуй идите. Не хочу быть народным артистом. Я убийца закрытой тусовки. Со мной модели, актрисы, лимитированные кроссовки. Первый снег мой любимый. Красный цвет Ламборджини, такой красивый. Японские телочки ставят меня на бой свои мобилы. Я пью свежевыжатый сок. Мне скоро 24. 24. Мы летим на Сузуки быстрее скорости звука. Я чувствую твою руку, сука. Мы летим на Сузуки быстрее скорости звука. Я чувствую твою руку, сука. Эй, я мусор, как тебе туса? Я просто прививаю таким, как ты, чувство вкуса. Эй, я мусор, как тебе туса? Я просто прививаю таким, как ты, чувство вкуса. Эй, 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 как тебе туса? Я просто прививаю таким, как ты, чувство вкуса. Эй, 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 как тебе туса? Я просто прививаю таким, как ты, чувство вкуса. Я мусор, как тебе туса? Я просто прививаю таким, как ты, чувство вкуса. Эй, я мусор, как тебе туса? Я просто прививаю таким, как ты, чувство вкуса. Эй, 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 как тебе туса? Я просто прививаю таким, как ты, чувство вкуса. Эй, 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 как тебе туса? Я просто прививаю таким, как ты, чувство.
drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down. We're getting on fire. We're raising up higher. The bottle is up, we're over the top. It's time to get wild. The time of a life, it's happening now. We're out of control. Together we're rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over. Down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down. We're getting on fire. We're raising up higher. The bottle is up, we're over the top. It's time to get wild. The time of a life, it's happening now. We're out of control. Together we're rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over. We got a rock party till the lights shut. Fill that jug and raise your cup up. We got a jug, better take it unstuck. Hey, come drink it till the last drop. So please just let us burn down this place. And we will end up in the old of day. Let's get ready for the drinking game. So come and sip it till the last drop. Over and over, we down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. Down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down. We're getting on fire. We're raising up higher. The bottle is up, we're over the top. It's time to get wild. The time of a life, it's happening now. We're out of control. Together we're rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs went up in the air. Tongue in the wind, listen to the thunder rolling over and over. We down the river, we drunken. All of our thumbs. やりたくないこと大人なんかに押し付けられている。どこで使うのバカな知恵の間付き合ってじゃあやめたらやめたで。 ことなら早々にくれてりゃよかった私なんて奴隷じゃないなら何ですかやりたくないやりたくないじゃあやりたいことは知らない知らないよってこれしかやったことないし負けたくない負けたくないじゃあ勝ちたいわけは知らない知らないよってからこれいいこれいいこうとしているこの状況はどうすればできますかどうせ無駄な気にかなんてほらね投げ出せば楽になるかい差をつけてもビビたるもんで全体の中じゃ見えない 雨に濡れすべてを照らす光だって誰も笑顔になれるってそれを信じる僕になって救い払ったそれでも君と笑い合って続く影の先をくぐってそして開けた空おいでずるくてすごいといるんだと見せて してゆくしね飽きが来ない甘いだけの愛もそうちょっと塩した方が二人の距離も縮まりきっと今日より素敵な未来が待ってるのしろと言われたら黒だって言っちゃう素直になれない花のジャック好きと言われたら don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, don't just stand, go berserk. Don't just stand, don't just
愛のネタバレ別れっぽいな人生のネタバレ死ぬっぽいな何それ意味深でかっこいいじゃんそれっぽい単語主婦で踊ってんだ死刑トゥトゥルトゥトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥトゥルボーイじゃんボーイじゃんトゥトゥルトゥトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥトゥルトゥルトゥルトゥルトゥルトゥルトゥルトゥルトゥルト きしょいねそれきしょいねきしょいね逆にファンになってきたじゃんちっちゃいねちっちゃいね音がちっちゃいねちっちゃいね天才ゆえ孤独ですねかけ
まるでいろんなない世界だほら花に雨をそして君に歌はどうかこのまま命が終わるまで何度傷をえぐって消えぬ過去を守ってそれで何かが変わる気がしたんだ音楽で世界を救うなんて無理だけど夢に歩み神様に何か救えるいつだって歌うともせばそこに僕がいるそうだったただそれだけで僕は救われていたんだ生きる残り時間とか賞味期限とか明日の予報白紙の手紙もどうでもいいやノートに書き殴るしもいつもそうだ正しいとか分かりゃしないまま歌にしたんだまどかな月のように奏でし言葉と変いない心臓の鼓動で踊ろう人らしく生きて過ごしてくだばらそれで満たされるのほら花に雨をそして君に歌はどうかこのまま命が終わるまで何度生きてみたって同じ道をたどって僕はまだ見ぬ明日に夢見てしまうんだろ自分を騙し大人になるなら一生僕は子供でいいでも時には歩みを止めて少し泣いてもいいからほら花に雨をそして君に歌はどうかこのまま命が終わるまで何度傷をえぐって消えぬ過去を守ってそれで何かが変わる気がしたんだ今夜に明けはその心に愛はそうだ人はそうして生きてくんだ紡いだ言葉も奏でる旋律も何もかも伝えるには足りないような音楽で世界を救うなんてバカみたいな夢見ていたのはどこのこいつだ運命も明日の終わりも僕らは知らないもう一度壊れるくらい命を奏で歌う花に雨を君に歌う焦った夢に僕らの色をつけよう夜明けに眠る日々はいつからだろうまだ飲むこ深い雨の音と混ざるリズム傷も過ちも死も夢も今もこの醜い人生も娯楽と歌にしたんだ五線譜の上に落とした日々も書き留め